everybody? It's your boy, Sexual Wyo, a.k.a. Coach Bird, and I'm the host of the BYRDCAGE Show. Cousin Tracey.
What's up?
Well, we are finally here.
We've arrived.
We are finally here at episode 100. You know what I'm saying? A very, very special episode. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Cousin Tracy's been putting in some work here for what, like 2 years now?
Yeah,
I think we
2
started
years.
back in March of 2021 is when we started with this. And, you know, here we are, 100 episodes later. And for our viewers out there, if you don't know who's sitting on the couch in the cage today, very, very special guest. I mean, I got to say some more of those special guests. You know what I'm saying? I think we've been trying to get him for all 100 episodes. You know what I'm saying? So he has finally decided to hop on. Definitely on the special weekend by being Father's Day weekend and all. You know what I'm saying? It makes my heart smile to be able to have my dad, you know what I'm saying,
And
on
if
the
you
couch
haven't
with us.
noticed, Such is sweating, so he's a little nervous.
A little bit. So, if you don't know by now who's on the couch, like I said, my father, Cousin Tracy's uncle, my dad, Arnold Byrd, is on the couch in the cage. Daddy, first of all, we just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
For taking some time out to do this with us. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, this is completely amazing. It's above my head. I never dreamed that I would be in a position like this to actually be involved in something like this. So
Nice.
I hope we're lucky to be successful today.
Definitely. Let's talk about where it all began, Dad. You know what I'm saying? I know. I've heard the stories. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, some people might not know all of the story. Cousin Tracy might not have heard some of these stories. You know what I'm saying? So let's just talk about where you're from.
Well, I'm from Centerville in Camden, New Jersey, and so forth. I was born in a section of Camden called Foggy Bottom. Down at 2nd and Kane Avenue. I mean, you know, the Andersons come from Foggy Bottom too, so it was all down there. And my father obviously was very important in my life, and the thing that I can remember is that he would tell me stories about when he went to high school and he went to Woodrow Wilson, which was unusual then because, you know, African Americans didn't go to Woodrow Wilson then, but
Right.
because of something he was doing and taking a certain kind of course, he wound up at Woodrow Wilson.
Okay.
So all my friends went to Camden High, and I would talk about Woodrow Wilson like I was going to go until I realized that I wasn't going to Woodrow Wilson.
Okay.
So my allegiance changed instantly.
Instantly.
And I was about Camden High because I realized I was going. But I was born in a section of Camden called Foggy Bottom. I grew up in Foggy Bottom and everything until I was about 6 or 7 years old. Then we moved uptown to Centerville.
Okay.
To Shelton Terrace.
Okay.
What year did you graduate from Camden High?
1957.
1957. And you played football, track, baseball. Yeah, you did a little bit of everything, didn't you?
Yeah, I got 3 out of 4 letters. The thing at that time, if you're playing sports, to try to be a 4-letter man. I was a 4-letter man, but I only got a JV letter in track because we had some fast brothers that was throwing me in, and it's hard for me to do track and baseball. But I was a 3-letter man, you know, in varsity letters in the other 3 sports there, in football and baseball. I played basketball, but you know, I was just playing.
Right.
We had some superstars playing, but I was on the team.
You just what you say? You're a practice player. You
Right,
played in
that's
practice. Now, for those that don't know, and we're going to get to the house and everything, but my mom and dad is currently still in Centerville. You know what I'm saying? Where I grew up at. What was Centerville like when you were like my age? As I would like when I was coming up. Where we lived at, how was that for you?
Centerville was special because the African American, you know, population lived in certain sections, usually in the so-called projects like Shelton Terrace, Branch Village, Roosevelt Manor, and they had some adjacent houses close to the projects and everything. We were kind of restricted to that area of Camden, really, except, you know, downtown where we came from and everything. But we weren't in the Whitman Park. I will not call it the name that young folks call it. I refuse to do that. But we weren't in Whitman Park. We weren't in Parkside. We weren't in Fairview and everything. The African American community was kind of restricted to the Centerville area, you know, relocating from downtown. And then they moved in a section called Crosstown, which was like 9th and Pine and 9th and Chester and so forth. And we were restricted in those areas.
Okay. When did Tioga Street How old were you when you got there?
Well, Tioga Street there, we moved from Master Street in Shelton Terrace to Tioga Street. I think I was about 11 or 12 years old when we moved to Tioga Street. I wasn't quite in high school there. I think I was in what we called then, back in those days, junior high school.
Gotcha.
So I was in about the 6th or 7th grade when I moved. Well, I think I was in the 7th grade when we moved to Tioga Street there. So I was actually 12 years old. And my younger brothers actually went to Bonzo School, and they were a little younger than me. But I was 12 because up until that time I went to Mickle School from Shelton Terrace from Master Street and everything.
Gotcha.
But I mean, I loved living in the so-called projects and everything because all we did was play ball. Because Stanley Park was right there. And that's where I got my start in athletics, which really was very influential in my life.
Right. Now, what did you, and we're going to definitely, get into what you did with the Simbas and all that, but I just had a question, like, where did y'all have Little League football then, or no?
No. No, you played, I guess what we used to call it street ball. Okay, we would form teams in different neighborhoods and play each other and everything. And then when we got to be like 13, 14 years old, we'd venture out into the communities such as Gloucester, and I'm not going to say much about it and everything. And I can remember going to the Charles Street Stadium in Gloucester, and you determined when the game was over when the sun went down, when it started getting, it was time to leave.
Time to get up out of there.
Yeah, and we would all get together, and we'd go to Broadway, and we walk back to Centerville. So we'd do the same thing in Fairview, which was all Caucasians at that time. The same thing. So you weren't allowed to be any place on a Saturday night after dark, and it got dark at 5 o'clock. So you start your game about 1 o'clock, and at 5 o'clock it's over with.
Right. Because it's time to get out of there.
Get out of here.
Now, when did you first put the pads on? Like when?
Well, that's a good question there. I think at one time I was the only one on the team that had pads because my dad played semi-pro football. My dad played semi-pro football at Broadway and Everett. There used to be a stadium there. And the stadium there used to have championship boxing matches. Jersey Walcott fought there and so forth. And when I was 3, 4 years old, I used to go there to see the matches and the football games because my father would babysit me. He'd be playing. He played for a team called the South Canton Panthers, and he would be the halfback, and I was 4 or 5 years old, and the cops would have to kind of supervise me and watch me and everything. So, and that was the stadium, so that's when I really got interested, in sports and everything there. And the rest of my life, until I got grown and had you and kids and stuff like that, it was all about sports and everything.
That's what's up. Did they have? I vaguely remember you telling me. I think. Did they have a squad at like in middle school then, or no?
Yeah, it was junior. We didn't have middle school.
Okay.
It was grammar school and junior high school. Okay. One of the grammar schools that I went to did go up to the 7th grade. So we had a team in 6th and 7th grade that would play other grammar schools, and sometimes they might play the 1st grade in the junior high because junior high would start at 7th grade. Okay, and then you move to what we call junior high school, which is 8th and the 9th grades. Like I went to Hatch, and then you play the other 4 schools in the city. Sports and everything. And then high school, when I was going to school, started in the 10th grade. And then you just played 10th grade. Sports, football, baseball, basketball, whatever.
And it's funny that when you tell people that junior high in Camden used to be 8th and 9th grade, because my mom used to tell me that all the time. People be like, what? And I was like, yeah, my mom said Hatch was 8th and 9th grade. That was junior high.
8th and 9th.
There was no such thing as middle school.
Okay. Now, when you graduate, what year you graduated again from?
For high school? 1957.
1957. Then we went to our alma mater, off the Rutgers. You know what I'm saying?
That was a story.
Right. Now, let's talk about Rutgers a little bit. Like, let's start off by how do we get there? You know what I'm saying?
Well, the first thing here is that, my father's the one that kept me in sports. I mean, I could stay in sports no matter what. Even when I was punished and didn't do the right thing and all those kind of things and everything, he would allow me to go to play sports, and then I had to come right back home. And when I got to be about 11, 12, 13, and was punishment and everything, I couldn't play sports, I tried to turn my life around. I was not being bad at all. What I really meant, I didn't get caught anymore. I got smart, so because, the punishment, I mean, stop getting spankings and everything. The punishment was, well, you can't play sports.
Got you.
And here I am looking out the window and my
Watching
buddies
them
was playing sports and everything. And that was a killer. So about 11 or 12, I decided, no, I'm not going to be bad anymore.
Right.
At least I'm not going to get caught.
Right.
So that's when the sports, and that's what my dad was all about, sports and everything. Because if I look back at his history and everything, he didn't get a chance to go to college. I mean, there was no money, and he was from downtown, but he had a great sports sphere. He loved the Penn relays and so forth, and he played at Woodrow Wilson. And I was lucky enough to see him play football. I was lucky enough to see him play semi-pro football.
Right.
And I was lucky enough to see him play baseball, even though he wasn't a great baseball player. he was a football player.
Baseball wasn't a sport?
Right. It was a sport, but he was a football player playing baseball. We run across them before.
Gotcha. Yes, we have.
No. But go ahead. I got off track.
No. We just talk about you getting the Rutgers. You know what I'm saying?
What made you choose Rutgers?
Okay, that's a great story there. I had a great career in high school. I did well in football and I did well in baseball, and I played basketball and a little bit of track. I didn't get a letter in track, but that's because they had some guys there wiping me out in track.
And before you go on real quick, for our viewers out there, if you ever get a chance to go to Camden High's gymnasium, you will see my father's little up there with the greats.
Yeah. Well, what happened to really turn me around in the sports and everything there? Like I was talking to my dad, and my dad has been in my life, hopefully like I was in his life, as influence and everything, and we would talk about sports and everything, and I was, telling my dad how great I was in baseball, because, we loved baseball because of Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson, was one of the first African Americans to play in the modern era of baseball and everything. And my dad would set me down. He set me down once or twice. He said, son, and now listen to me. He said, you're okay. You're pretty good as a baseball player, but your way through this here is football. Because in playing football, the game rests on what you do. You decide which way the game goes. In baseball, you're just another player. You're just another good player at football. And at that time, I got kind of serious about football. Because also, my mother and father would tell me, this football is a way for you to go to college. And I didn't know what I was going to do after high school. I wasn't ready for the service, because people was telling people getting killed and shot, and coming home wounded and everything. And I wasn't all that brave, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. Yeah. So I figured for me to go to college, maybe I need to be serious about the football. And so I was serious about the football, and I had a great career, in Camden High, and I always respect the coach, an Italian person named Joe Papiano, who gave us opportunities and players and everything, even though other schools would complain about all the black kids playing and so forth like that. It's not that much different now. I understand sometimes. You know what I mean? But I appreciate the Joe Papiano family and everything, because they gave me an opportunity. Took me around to different colleges. When it came for me to choose a college and everything, I went to a number of colleges, like some of the black schools in the South, like Maryland State and so forth. And I went to a couple of small schools, like Colby College up in Maine. It's too cold and everything. And it boiled down primarily to Rutgers, New Brunswick, and the University of Pennsylvania. Now, I used to love the University of Pennsylvania because growing up, that's all you heard about and everything there. But it was too close to home. Okay, it's just that I'm just going to get on the bus and go.
Sound like this one while she went to Iowa State, trying to run.
Right, it was too close to home. So I wound up at Rutgers. But anyway, I'm off track a little bit, so you can get me back.
You're never off track. This is the original Coach Bird Day.
The original Coach Bird.
The original Coach Bird Day.
So,
never off track.
Never.
Yeah.
Now, how do you feel about? First of all, no, we're not done with Rutgers. You're being too modest now. We're not done with Rutgers. You were the second black man to do something, and the first was Paul Robeson. Can you please explain that to our people? What you did?
Okay, Paul Robeson in 1908 was obviously the first African American to play sports at Rutgers and everything. There was a gentleman from the war. The war I'm talking about is the Second World War that played at Rutgers. I can't recall his name. That played at Rutgers about 1948, 1950 there. And then me and a good friend from Trenton named Del Costin, African American. Then we came. So So I was either the third or the fourth,
Okay.
how you want to look at it, that was playing sports at Rutgers, primarily football and baseball. Because Paul Robeson, a lot of folks don't realize, and I know you heard the name Paul Robeson, 'cause
Yeah,
they're getting ready to honor him next week, I think, and everything. And, he played 4 sports at Rutgers. People don't realize that. I mean, he not only played football, but he played football, baseball, basketball, and ran track.
Oh, wow.
Okay. The only thing that I can kind of brag about with me in relationship to Paul Robeson is that I received an award that the black students gave me because Paul Robeson wasn't honored. And I received one of the first Paul Robeson awards ever given out at Rutgers University in New Brunswick. And I'm very proud of that. And there's a history to that there because I had received the most valuable player award at Rutgers from the All-American. They claimed Homer Hazel was the only Rutgers All-American in 1933.
Okay.
That's a lie. Paul Robeson was All-American at Rutgers in 1908. But they had, and I'll tell you the story about how I found out about that. So they called me back and gave me the Paul Robeson Award after I already won the Homer Hazel Award as the most valuable player back in the day. You know what I mean? Now, but I'm jumping ahead of myself there. So when I started at Rutgers and so forth there was no African Americans playing football. When I graduated, we had got up to a total of 3.
Wow.
A
total of 3. I was going to say like 6.
A total of 3, and 4 had tried out for the team. But one gentleman, I will not name him, from Swedesboro, he dropped out of school or had an issue. I don't want to embarrass his family and so forth. But we were good. So it was a total of 3 of us that actually played at Rutgers or anything. But the one thing I remember about that and everything is that when we went and played in the freshman, where we were really dominating, me and this gentleman from Trenton named Del Costa. He was a fullback, traditional fullback type, and I was a halfback, halfback type. But when we moved up to varsity, they made him play halfback, and he was not a halfback type because they had recruited, and I hate to say it, but they had recruited the brother of our star who was a fullback. So I never got over that because, I didn't give up my spot because I wanted to play. But he couldn't play like a halfback.
So
he was a hurdler in track. I was a dash man in track. So I showed a different kind of guy. I was about 170 pounds. He was 195 pounds. Things like that. He was a good guy and a fullback and everything. But that's the first really direct issue of racism that I ran into at Rutgers in playing college ball and everything. There were some other things and everything, but that was really the one that stood out. That he got shafted because he should have been down. As we played freshman ball, he was a fullback, I was a halfback. We did well. Moved up.
For those that don't know, when my dad came through college, freshmen weren't allowed to play varsity football, right?
No, they weren't allowed to play.
We
had to play on
schedule. Freshman, right? Yep. Let's talk about the baseball there a little bit. Because I know you was the only black guy on that team.
all the way through. Well, they didn't recruit me for baseball. One of the reasons that I chose to go to Rutgers, and I was considering the Ivy League schools also, is because they didn't have spring football training. So you could do what you wanted to do in the spring. So I wanted to play baseball because, I was in love with Jackie Robinson and Willie Mays and so forth and everything, So going out for the baseball team at Rutgers and everything, in high school I'd always been an infielder because that's what I did and everything. But as I went out for this baseball team and I went to the field house, which I've never been in a field house before, an inside place to play anything. I've been on a basketball court, but not a big field house and everything. So I go in there, it looked as though they had maybe 100 folks out there running around with this baseball, throwing it. I'm saying, oh, this is an issue. I said, what can I do that I know they can't do to get me on the team? Now, all through high school, I was an infielder, but I instantly at that moment became a center fielder because I said to myself, I run the punch back in football, the wind and the snow and everything, and my little hands, and I don't miss it, I catch anything, and I got the biggest glove in the world. So I instantly became a center fielder. And I cheated in center field because I used to do certain things there that was really cheating. and that's what I did. through that and the service. I was an outfield. And I would really say one thing, just moving forward, when I played baseball in the service and everything, that was was the first time that I met a young man. He was African American too. That I acknowledged that was better than me.
Oh,
and he won. He won the most valuable player in the Far East tournament.
Okay.
And I always bragged that I would bunt and sacrifice him to score the winning run. But he got the trophy.
But he got the trophy. But he got the trophy.
What branch of service were you with?
Army.
The Army.
How many years did you do?
Oh boy, this is a story there. What happened when I was coming up? Young African Americans, we were being drafted, you know, and that didn't sound all that great to me and everything. So at Rutgers, the first 2 years, you had to take ROTC. That was mandatory. So after the first 2 years in ROTC, you can take what we call advanced ROTC, and at that you can come out as an officer. So I said, if I know I'm going to service,
Right.
because I'm not 4F, and drafting everybody
right,
and everything. So I might as well go in as an officer. So I took that, and then when I went into service there, I was a lieutenant. And that changed my life around. Not only the service point, but they changed my life around because as an officer in the U.S. military, you're treated special. You treated special. I mean, we had slight issues with some Southern guys in Mississippi and Alabama and stuff like that there. But when you're an officer, you're an officer in the United States Army. And I became a pilot. I mean, you know, I didn't stick with it because I didn't really enjoy it and I wasn't paying attention to it and everything. And I felt as though something bad was going to happen.
Gotcha.
Flying up there in the air when you're supposed to be there and stuff like that there. But, you know, I had enough skill to do it.
Right. I remember Tracy, we would like go on rides, like it would be like Memorial Day or something, stuff like that. I remember you would take us to be piling the car, and you take us up to Rutgers, show us your old stomping grounds and all that. And I remember he would always tell me, he said, if you ever get lost, just follow the river. I ain't know what he meant. I was just like, oh, all right, Dad.
Follow the ocean. Follow the ocean.
Okay.
Follow the ocean. Yeah, when I was trying to get my cross-country wings and everything there, I didn't believe in the instruments and everything. I believed in things they call in flight called dead reckoning, which means you follow the landscape and everything. So the biggest landscape here is the Atlantic Ocean.
Right.
So if you follow the Atlantic Ocean, you go north, you're going to wind up where you're going. If you go south, you're going to wind up where you're going there. So I was supposed to go to a place called Albany, New York, from New Brunswick to fly to Albany and fly back, and then you get your wings. You know what I mean? So I'm flying that way, but I'm not really paying attention to the instruments because I don't believe that they're telling me where to go and everything. You know? So I said, I know that ocean's there, so I follow the ocean, and I see this airport, and I come in, but it's the wrong airport. It's Poughkeepsie Airport. Now I don't have any gas. It's all gas, so I'm in trouble. You know what I mean? So they gas me up and send me on back. Well, you know, they have to let the ROTC folks know what happens because you know, I have no money for gas. They said, well, that don't count. So the next thing they did, they said, we're gonna get you. So now they send me cross country. They send me like to Pittsburgh because there's no ocean, and I got to do what I got to do. But they forgot the railroad tracks went that way. The train went that way. So I followed the train, went and came back and got my wings and stuff like that. I just didn't believe in those instruments.
I got you.
That night flying instrument flying, I said, no, I got to see where I'm going.
I got you. Now, how was playing sports? Because you played sports in the armed service. You played football, baseball, armed service, right?
That was at that time there, you only had one set of pros. You didn't have all these different teams and leagues you had now. So that was almost like being a pro.
Gotcha.
You know, and you played against a lot of pros and everything there, you know. And my sports career in the military was slightly different because most officers didn't play sports. It was mainly the enlisted men. So if you're an officer and you playing sports there, you was in trouble. They would take advantage of you. But I'm from Centerville, so bring it on. You know what I mean? And I had to go through that and everything there. So I had a great sports career in the Army there because, you know, I made an all-Army team. I don't know which one. I played about 14 games in the Far East of football. Because when I went to the Far East in football, the Korea and everything there, I went like in the middle of football season, so I really couldn't play sports in Korea there. But then basketball season came around, and I played basketball just by pretending I was from the court from Centerville playing. And I start off pretty good. I start off maybe the fourth or fifth man on the team, and then they start recruiting all these All-Americans. So when they had the Far East tournament, which we won and everything, I was about number 12. 12 man, but I got the ring everybody else got and everything.
That's all about.
Okay. Now we go to baseball. Now I can play baseball. Now, that's the first time I will admit that there was a better baseball player than me because the brother from Detroit, he was an outfield, and I was the outfielder. Well, they didn't move me, but he was the most valuable player. They made him play left, and I played center. And I would bunt him around and stuff. I'd say, man, you owe me some of that trophy because I'm the one sacrificing you and everything. But he was the most valuable player. We played a lot of baseball. Matter of fact, get back to the football. We played football in Korea. We played football in Okinawa. We played football in Japan. And the game that I remember, 2 games I remember playing the Rangers, and they were like real good in Okinawa, and they kicked our butts, and we lost 49-13. I remember the score, but I also remember I scored all 13 points. I remember the score. But then I also remember we played the Japanese team in Kansama, Japan, and they beat us. They was doing jiu-jitsu, and so they wasn't playing right. And little teeny guys were putting this on us and everything. We had these old big, I remember. But then the rest of the rest of the time was pretty good. We played a 14-game schedule. We never played that many games in life, and we won 6 and lost 8 and everything. Now, like I say, the first year I was in Korea, I came too late, but getting ready to leave, it was time for me to come home. I was known as a short timer. But, I didn't care about the football. I wanted to get out there and come back home because Korea was not the place to be. But I remember John F. Kennedy got assassinated. The time he got assassinated, which meant that all the officers and all the enlisted men and everybody had to stand at attention, in honor of our fallen commander. So standing at attention in what's called a mess, which is nothing but a large cafeteria. Down the line comes the general. He comes to me and standing at attention. He said, I understand that you're leaving. That was like a couple days before Thanksgiving. So as soon as I can, I don't know if I was smart or not, but I felt like as soon as I get the heck out of here. And he asked me to stay and play in the Turkey Day game, Thanksgiving Day. What could I say? He's a general.
He's a general.
So I said yes. But what I remember, the funny part about it is the team that we played against was called the First Cab. Now, all you all have seen the First Cab on TV because that was the first group in Vietnam, and they had the big patch on their arm and everything. So you've seen them. You may not remember anything. So now we played the First Cab. But the First Cab was the first team I played for about 6 or 7 weeks earlier that year. And I had scored a touchdown against them, and we beat the First Cab 6-0. And they were like the top team in the Far East. And they don't know me. They didn't know me at all. I them snuck them and beat them 6-0. So all they was talking about, you should have caught that plane. We're going to get you now. And they did. And they did. And they beat us. But I do remember, like when we went to the cafeteria to eat, called the mess and everything. They gave me a standing ovation and then marched me through and took me to the airport, and I flew on out. So that was the highlight of the career that I had in the military and everything. You know what I mean?
What was it? What year was that?
Where was the?
What year?
What year? Oh, boy, this is 63, 64. Yeah, because I come out of school in 61, and I think I didn't go into service till I was in 62. So I think it was 63, 64. And then I was in the reserves, and I think I finished up about 1970. But active duty for the 3 years, 2-3 years, was from 62 to about 64, 65.
Gotcha.
And then I did a lot of time in Chicago. Now, what I enjoyed about Chicago is it was Chi-Town, big Chicago. But I did play basketball in Chicago. I didn't play the other sports and everything. Because I was only in Chicago, stationed in Chicago for 6 months. So I went to Chicago, I think, about before Christmas, around November, and I was out of there in like June. So basically, I ain't stay around and play no baseball.
Now, did you get up before you went to the service? I'm pretty sure you showed me some letters. Did you get invited to a couple NFL camps?
Yeah, I did. I forgot about that. A couple teams there,
I think one might have been Pittsburgh. Was it Pittsburgh? Cleveland? I don't know. I remember you showing me a couple. Cleveland and team in Baltimore, I think. I think those two teams did invite me to camp and everything. But when I was in the service there, it was too late then. Gotcha. Come out of the service, I had obligations and stuff like that. Yeah, I did get invited to a couple camps. Oh, the one that I was favorite, Chicago Bears. Oh, okay. Chicago Bears, and the one down south there. I don't know if it was I can't remember which one it was, whether it was Washington or not. Well, at least 2. It was at least 2 that I got invited to camp and everything.
And that was before you went in the military, when you was ready to come out?
Before I went in the military. Before I went in the military. So, based on what they saw at Rutgers. Then the military after that, it was too late for me. Gotcha.
So when did you meet Aunt Mary?
Okay, got to get this one right too. Okay.
Yeah, Mom, he's gonna get it right for you. We got this. Have faith. Have faith. Have faith.
The late 60s, yeah. And we got married in like 1969. Okay. Well, after I came back.
I need the story. Like, where'd you meet her? You saw her. You was in the grocery store. You saw this beautiful young lady, and you put your moves on her.
That's basically it. We was walking. We used to go downtown to eat lunch there when I was working with the welfare board and so forth. And this young lady, I think she worked at Bell Telephone.
Yeah, she
we walked by, and she was very attractive and everything there. You know, like she is now.
Yes,
baby.
And we love you.
I introduced myself some kind of way. All downtown and everything.
There you go. Now, when did after the service, when did the working career start? Like, what did you do?
Well, basically, when I came back from the service there, because I had I forget what they call it and everything. I started working for the United States Civil Service Commission.
Okay.
Out of Philadelphia, out of the Customs House in Philadelphia and everything there. And then the OEO program had started and everything, nationwide and everything there. And it was about community action and helping folks and everything. And it was right up my alley.
Right.
And I got to know people and I was involved. I was on the board and doing certain kind of things. I said, I think it'd be a good idea if I started working there.
Gotcha.
And I did start working there and so forth. And eventually I became the executive director, and I think they're ready for me to leave now. They don't have long to wait.
Bro, I got you.
But leave me alone
I got you.
while you're going through it. You know what I mean? And I enjoyed my career.
Right.
And I was able to do a lot of things for the
Right.
community and
Right.
programs and so forth. There.
Now, how long you been executive director now?
At least 40 years.
Oh, yeah.
At least 40. I don't admit to how long it really was.
I got you.
We'll stick with 40.
Let's say at least 40.
Let's say at least 40. Got you. Now, for folk that don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like I mentioned earlier, we were talking about my dad being, Centerville and all that, and I mentioned that he's still in Centerville, the house that I grew up in, you know what I'm saying? And what a lot of people might not know is my dad actually built our house.
My dad and his friends. It's like my dad and his
True.
friends.
You had help. Okay. You had help. I'm not saying he did it by himself.
In between baseball innings.
Right.
We never stopped the game. We never missed a game. We played, we practiced everything and so forth, and we built it. And it was a wonderful achievement.
Right. What was
I sit there every day and I'm amazed at it.
What was the what made you make that decision? Like,
well,
I know if I was there, I'd have just been like, let me go try to find a house somewhere. That's already there. Like,
I think I became somewhat of a maverick as a teenager. Okay. You understand that the integration hadn't really taken hold. So we was always fighting.
Gotcha.
Always fighting for our rights and everything there. And and going through high school and college and everything there, I was kind of different. And the service and everything. I'm saying, why should I take good money and buy a house that somebody lived in and used up?
Gotcha.
I mean, that was a weird way of looking at it.
Right.
But it's not a brand new house, and they done raised their family and used up and everything.
Right.
And the thing was that in the service as a lieutenant, you have to know how to do everything. So in the service, we had to build buildings, and I was in charge.
Okay.
All I did was took the manuals. You remember, you saw those old manuals, and I would read the manuals, and we would build constructions and ammo dumps and all kinds of stuff. So I learned that from the military. So when I came home from the military, I brought the manuals with me.
Gotcha.
Okay. Now I have manuals on how to construct everything.
Right.
You look at TV about the old wars and stuff like that. They like, hey, in the military you can build it all.
Right.
Now they going to the moon and
Right.
all kinds of stuff. All that's coming. So I had that skill and everything.
Right.
So I said, why don't I buy me some land and me and my friends build this house? And that was one of the best decisions, that I made and everything. I still marvel at it. On a daily basis.
Yeah,
Before I leave, I sit here and say, wow.
Right.
Right.
Nah, that's.
I mean, that was.
That's
and my friends, they all did it. They all chipped in.
How long did it take?
Well, about 3 years.
Okay.
At least 3 years,
Okay. Because we were in, I think you was doing it while we was living in Sheridan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I used to put you in a wheelbarrow.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
I remember
that's how you got there. Because I had to take the tools around.
Right.
I had to take the tools and the shovels and stuff like that.
I remember being out there.
And
I
you
remember
about 2 or 3 years old.
Yeah, but I got that. It was like some of my earliest memories. I just remember
put
being
the
out there.
We go around, and you guys would play around.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because we lived on a 900 block of Morton when you was building the house.
Yeah.
We lived in 940 Morton.
Right, sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I definitely, those are some of my earliest memories right
Yeah,
there,
see,
playing
that-
around,
that-
getting in the way, y'all showing us, I just say, get out the way, all in the way, like the piles of dirt we jumping
Right.
in.
Piles,
there,
I
and
remember
you
the piles of dirt.
Yeah, dirt and the brick
bricks,
and the block
yup.
and everything, the materials and stuff like
Well,
that. There,
well.
the one thing we did have a professional come in and do the electric.
Okay.
You know, that was
Okay.
very beneficial.
Okay.
You know, because we weren't, you know, we didn't know how to do that.
Right,
They
gotcha.
did the electric. Everything else we did.
Who else was?
So who was else
yeah.
involved in that?
Yeah, who was working with you?
Oh, everybody in the neighborhood, but like John Pettigrew,
Okay.
Demiri, Pat, they was almost there every day.
Gotcha.
There was a few others every day that I can't remember their name, but everybody helped. Kinky Davis,
Okay,
the Davis family, and so forth. You know, I mean, everybody would come by and help. You know, sometimes they'd be a little critical.
Right.
I mean, they'll tell you about a gentleman, well, he's going now, that he was critical, but he was right. We was
Okay.
putting the roof down wrong. And he came by and explained it to us because he had built a house someplace else. And we tore the roof up and he put it down correctly.
Okay.
And the other thing I remember, if you probably don't realize it, but down the middle of the house, keeping it up there, you know, on the first floor, is a steel beam, a steel I-beam, right down the middle of the house. Well, we
Okay.
had to go to a place out in the country and get that steel beam
Okay.
to come. And we literally, and without a cane, and without
Right.
a crane or anything, we would literally put that down the middle of the house. And that's the basis of the house.
Did y'all sign that?
Huh?
Did y'all sign that?
No, we ain't signed up. That I know of. The steel beam, steel I-beam. The steel I-beam, and that it's block and brick,
Right.
all the way up.
Right,
Okay,
yeah.
you start with 16s, you go to 12s and
Okay.
8s, all the way
Okay.
up there, and then you put the brick veneer on top of it.
Yeah, that's still
It's amazing.
that's still amazing.
Yeah.
Every day, even
It's
every
still
day I
amazing
sit
to me.
there, and,
You know what I'm
whatever.
saying?
And it's
That
really
is-
a double house.
Right,
It's,
right,
it's
right,
really
right.
really a double house. You know?
Right.
Such a way I know he comes in, you got one side, the other side, you know. And the thing that they had stopped doing about that time was doing basements. But now we have
Yeah,
big
yeah,
time
we got
basement.
big basement.
Yeah, because the kids are still talking about the
Big
basement.
basement.
As
I
of
learned,
yet,
I learned a lot. I learned how to skate. Wait, I got better, I should say. Donna taught me at the skating ring, but
Yeah.
I would go home and skate in the basement. That's how big the basement was. It was
Yeah,
as big as the whole
basement,
house.
yeah,
You could
yeah.
stand up.
Yeah.
Me and my father, when the beating stopped for punishment, that was our boxing arena.
Yeah,
If I get in trouble, he's like, go get the gloves. And my sister was the referee. And I'm still mad at you because I go down, act like I'm knocked out, looking at my sister like, count. And she's like, yeah, all right. He's like, get up. He's like, come on. Now I remember
Good
though.
life.
I remember when the boxing matches stopped.
Yeah.
I think I closed my eyes and I swung and I connected. And I stayed in the basement for, I felt like forever, because I was like, oh, he's going to kill me. Because it was over. Hit, bah, I think I made it, knocked your glasses off or something. He went upstairs. So now I'm just in the basement like, oh.
What happens now?
And then that's when punishment started where
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can't go out.
Yeah. That's when punishment got serious.
So what made you, Mr. Demiri, Coach Pat, what made you guys start the Centerville Simbas?
Oh, that's a
How
good
did it come
question.
about?
We all of us who were just finishing up our athletic activities in college. You know, we all went through high school. Coach Pat was Atlantic City. Demiri was obviously at Camden High. He would follow me, and I would follow his brothers and everything. And we wanted to bring it to the community and the young people that we knew, and our family and so forth and everything. So us three got together, and we formed the Centerville Simbas. Now, the other thing was that, you know, the communities in South Jersey, they didn't accept us right away. So we had to start out by playing in the tough area of Philadelphia. And I'm not going to knock Philadelphia and everything, because they allowed us to work with them,
Right,
play
right,
the places
right.
like 11th Columbia
Right.
and all kinds of stuff and everything. And we started the Simbas and everything. And I always liked baseball and things like that. So we would do a lot of baseball. But the Centerville Simbas was started because we wanted folks to understand how to play football and everything, because it had done us well.
Right,
Demiri
right,
got a
right.
scholarship,
Right,
you know,
right.
at Rutgers and so, I mean, at
Temple.
Temple and everything. You know, Coach Pat played and everything, and we loved it.
Right.
You know, I mean, I was, I understand that they're getting ready to do something today out there.
If you want to express yourself through crime, you let them come out.
He was always intellectual.
Because they
Just calm down. He was
Your
always
teacher,
intellectual.
your teacher. Listen, the real deal is that there are men walking the face of this city who ain't never let a tear out. So y'all, all this is because of y'all. So thank you. From 1969, it's still going. This is the new president of the Simbas right here. Where your son at? And his son is just graduated from the 8th grade. So that would be the 3rd generation that y'all had an effect on. And when we did that video, the coaches said a lot of people didn't think this was going to last. But Coach DeMary said, if it's righteous, it will preserve itself. So, man, thank y'all for everything.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Sure. Started in 1969. We actually started.
You young guys, keep it up.
1969,
Keep it up.
Said that we won't see you in 1970.
Look at us now.
Man.
And I saw a smile.
They
we'll
didn't
be-
tell me, but I'm glad it's going on.
I don't know how you be finding the stuff out.
Well, I heard through the grapevine.
Well, at least the grapevine still works. I see.
Yeah, right.
Something was going on today.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
don't worry. We'll be,
Because somebody asked me, did I know? I said, no, I didn't heard. But
well, now that since you know, we will be headed there after this.
yeah.
We're going to stop by. You know what I'm saying? So
They are requesting your presence.
yes, indeed.
Oh,
yes, indeed.
see,
Yes,
I
yes.
gave it away, huh?
Yeah, you did. But it's all good. It's hard
this
to
was
keep Camden info from him.
This
You know
was
what
a
I'm saying?
whole 100th
Yeah, he
episode
got the whole
thing. It's
I
a whole
didn't know.
thing going on.
I didn't know. Blame your mom. She's the one that told me. I know because I'm surprised that Landy didn't mention it to me because I see
He
it
wasn't
once in a
supposed to
while.
know. I was just going to take you out there. Like, let's stop by the park.
And we didn't want you to, not show up.
Okay, you right about that. I ain't afraid of mine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I got you. I got him trapped.
Yeah.
He ride with me. You know what I'm saying? Unless you going to walk home. You know what I'm saying? Definitely. That started 1969?
Yeah, 1969.
1969. Can you just explain?
Now we did have
go ahead.
before that. I think what really happened was that there was some slight funding that I was involved with the agency for different programs in the city.
Okay.
And we called one program Centerville Liberty Park.
okay.
And they got some funding, and then that evolved into the Centerville Simbas.
Gotcha.
I'll give credit to the guys across town.
Okay.
Because they were involved in it.
Okay.
like His Anthony and the Hensons.
Okay.
And so forth. Teddy Henson, not Rob Henson. He
Okay.
wasn't even born then.
Right. Yeah.
The Hensons and so forth, and a few others and everything. And we kind of combined
Right.
and put our teams together,
Okay.
and then it just evolved into the Centerville
Centerville
Simbas and
Nice.
everything.
Can you just explain the name for those that it's a meaning behind the Simbas? It's not just like a random name. Can you just let them know why y'all chose the Simbas?
Well,
for the name,
Demiri was
Simbas?
strong into African American history, and the Simbas means young lion, okay? And he chose the name, the Simbas. I chose the name Centerville. He chose the name Simbas and became Centerville Simbas. The three people that was really directly responsible for the funding of the founding of it was Demiri, Pat, and myself. And we had some help with like Drip and a few other rolling. I don't want to leave anybody out.
Right.
But the ones that really sat down there and wrote it up and dealt with it and everything, and we kind of absorbed some other programs and everything and so forth there. And I'm really proud to see that it's still going on.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
to me,
big up to those guys. You know what I mean, for keeping that thing going. And before we actually talk about some of those guys that think highly of you, and I know you think highly of them as well, and what they're doing for the community and everything. I just remember on equipment day. My dad's basement. This is how big it was. All the equipment was stored. They didn't have a field house there. All the equipment was stored in the basement. So all the guys, all the different pounds, they would have to walk because we live right up the street from the Pink Elephant. They walk up the street, stand outside, they get their equipment, and they go about their business. Except for yours truly, Sundiata, and Lil Pat.
Oh, yeah.
We was in the house. Yeah. We pick out the new the stuff coming out the plastic. We get it first dibs. Like, you know what I'm saying? So we get our stuff, and then we got our bike helmets on while the rest of them is getting them old face mask helmets. But I remember that like it was yesterday. And Centerville, I always tell people when I talk about Centerville that that's one of the reasons why I know everybody in the city, because at that time you didn't have many
Other
many
programs.
other programs like that. So everybody from the city had to come to
Right.
Centerville to play.
Yeah, and
And that's how I knew everybody. You know what I'm saying?
And we welcomed everybody.
Right.
We didn't have
Definitely.
you can't play because
Right,
you're not
definitely.
from here and stuff
Definitely,
like that.
definitely.
We welcomed them with their parents. If the
Right.
parent had a problem, so what? Just come on and play. We'll deal with it. We knew most of the folks.
Yep. So let's talk about my big bro Lando and Bill Wallace, because they come to you like you're there. What's the word I'm looking for? Like when they're trying to do something,
mentor.
they make sure.
Yeah.
Yes, there you
The
go.
mentor,
Draw a blank. I'm nervous.
I'm proud. I'm proud of both of them, and I see that Bill is getting ready to run for something that may be involved in our program, and Landy's always around. I'm very proud of this young man, you know, as well as some other young men that's come through.
Definitely.
Very proud.
Yeah, them two.
And you
they speak
represent
highly.
the area real well. What you're doing and everything in Pensacola and other places and everything, you represent well, man.
I
You
appreciate that.
represent well because, you know, like it all comes from Centerville.
Yeah, it does.
You was born right there on Van Hook Street, Carmel Boulevard. Hey, look,
awesome.
you spent a lot of time on Tauga Street.
Yes.
With the sticks and everything, so, you know,
Yes, indeed. You know what I'm saying? I had no choice. You know what I'm saying? First of all, I was playing. I remember I always tell this story too. So you could still, because Dan Fitzgerald actually played up to his sophomore year. He was still playing for Centerville, but you know the age situation, you could still play. Because I was a freshman, I didn't play freshman for Canada High. I played for Centerville still my freshman year. Then played sophomore and on up at Canada High. So. I don't know how or who started this. So we're supposed to be scrimmaging Canada High's freshman team. Now I'm playing for the 130, so I'm not all this size. This happened later in life. I'm a little skinny thing, you know what I'm saying? So it's like other kids like, oh man, they got Fashions on that team. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh man, this might be a slaughter. So everybody like, I don't know if I'm going. I was like, you think I can't go? I was the only one there. Because something happened, like insurance reasons, we couldn't play that game.
Something was going on.
Yeah, so I was like, thank the God, no insurance. But yeah, Bill is doing the little bowling situation right now.
Well.
We know Lando's introducing tennis to the
And they're gonna,
girls.
him and Bill both are gonna be bringing lacrosse and field hockey to the girls in this upcoming next year. They're gonna bring it to them just to try to open our children to more sports. God rest his soul, Coach Hansen used to tell me to get my younger daughter and my grandbaby involved in lacrosse. He said his daughter, who's a coach at Rowan, she has minority scholarships to give out, and she can never give them out because
not enough.
none of our girls play. You know what I mean? So he was a big like, get them in lacrosse, get them in lacrosse. So now Lando and Bill is gonna do it.
Yep.
That's
And
great.
field
I
hockey.
know Bill had the wrestling program.
Yes.
Yeah, he still has a wrestling
Yeah,
program.
he still has the wrestling program. I know he had talked to me about eventually trying to get like a youth volleyball program, because we do offer them in the city schools. They do still play volleyball,
Yes,
you know
yep.
what I'm saying? So, but they don't have enough participation to have all the levels, you know what I'm saying? Like they might have a varsity team and that's it, just because they don't have enough kids coming out to play volleyball. But you can get scholarships.
one of my better friends in college and everything was a wrestler. His name was John Harrell. We used to call him Fly because he's a little guy and everything. But his father was a preacher that lived in Centerville, and he used to come from Trenton and visit him and everything. But he wrestled for about 3 or 4 years and everything at Rutgers University, and he was the first African American wrestler that I met personally. Okay. Now Jim Brown wrestled at Syracuse. And so forth and everything. But I didn't meet Jim Brown personally. I wasn't trying to meet him personally on that football field.
What'd you say? You leave that one alone. Leave that sleeping giant where he at.
Right. So we got involved in wrestling quite a bit and everything. Watching it in college and everything.
Gotcha.
And so forth.
Gotcha.
Because they always try to recruit me.
Right.
I said, I don't think I'm bothering with this wrestling stuff now. That was during basketball season. I think I'll stick with basketball.
Right.
And I wound up playing JV. I did play a couple varsities.
Okay.
I played against Glassboro State then and a couple others. University of Pennsylvania and
Okay.
stuff. But after a while, that bench got hard.
Right.
I said, "Look,
That
you
was
guys
enough of
got
that.
this. I'm out of here and everything."
I'm outta
And I
here.
wouldn't play, local ball.
Right,
and with the-
stuff like
with
that.
the Elks home and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was a good
gotcha.
time.
Right. I
And as
remember.
a matter of fact, when the coach, when I told the coach, his name was Tony Coate, when I told him that I was no longer going to play varsity basketball, he even said to me, he said, "I don't know why you wanted to play basketball. You was already a star in 2 sports." And I'm saying, because your basketball team stinks. I ain't say that. But they were horrible. They might have won 2 or 3 games and stuff like that. They used to go up to play NYU up in New York and
Okay.
everything, and they had Tom Sanders that went to the Celtics playing and
Right,
stuff
right.
like that playing. All I did was laugh. They was killing us. You know what I mean? I said, "Okay, coach, you got this." You know what I mean? So, they had a quota. You black,
Right,
you're not
right.
going to play all these
Right,
sports.
right,
you know?
right,
right.
Play a couple
Right, play a
sports.
couple
I said,
sports,
well,
right.
I said, I
Got you.
told him, I think I might have mentioned to myself, "I'm from Centerville.
Right.
Everybody play basketball
right,
in
right.
Centerville. I'm not the star, but I
can
can
play."
play." You know, yeah. I remember, I'll never forget that. He said, "Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why you wanted to play basketball.
That's
You was
funny.
already a star in 2 sports."
But I mean, and that it's kind of similar with me. I played basketball. Like people, when they hear the stats at Rutgers and all that, they like, "You played at Canton High basketball." I was like, "Nah, I just played football, and baseball." I was like, but at that time, we go to the Y. I'm in the Y playing with Vic Karstoff and Denny Brown, all these greats. So I mean, I'm not no scrub. I can
but
play.
even at Cameron High, they had players.
Right,
Rutgers
yeah,
didn't
right.
have any
I
players.
got you, yeah,
They
right.
were chumps. Even Cameron High, I mean,
Yeah,
they were
they
still
did,
winning
right. They was
championships
winning
and playing and
right,
stuff
right,
like
right.
that. I mean,
Right.
Rutgers maybe won 3 games.
Right.
2 games. They may have beaten Glassboro. May.
Oh man. So as we start to wrap this up a little bit, I tell everybody that I know, like, we're baseball. You know what I'm saying? This is. I was brought up in baseball, taught to love the game, played the game forever. That was the longest sport that I played. Even though the adult league was recreational, but still was serious. You know what I'm saying? Like, and now and we talk a lot all the time. I coach baseball. I've been coaching baseball at the high school level for a long time now, and it's not many of us coming out to play.
Still.
And it's not, I mean, we can just look at the TV now. Like, it used to be a whole lot of black players in the league, but now it's not even a lot of black players in the league. So how do we get that back to the
Well,
youth?
did you ever hear my theory about how we got here without many African Americans playing baseball? Okay, I used to say it all the time, but I stopped because my opinion is because the seasons are year round. It used to be the baseball season was a certain time, football
true, yeah,
season was a certain time, track was a certain time, and basketball was a certain time. But then the basketball and other sports became year round.
yeah,
So
that's a good
folks would
point.
choose the other sports, which was instant gratification.
Right,
Baseball,
right.
you only was successful 1 out of 3 times,
Right.
and you was doing great.
Yeah, you're doing great,
In
right.
basketball, you could be successful
Right
a
away.
number of times,
Yeah,
and
right.
football and so forth.
Yeah.
I mean, it just wasn't attractive
Gotcha.
to the good, outstanding athlete.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? And so like that. I mean, I won't say I force you to play baseball,
Right.
but I encourage you
Yeah,
to play
definitely,
baseball. You know what I mean?
definitely.
Not
Yeah.
everybody was encouraged to play
Right,
baseball because
right.
it's certain skill and everything. I mean, you only if you succeed 1 out of 3 times, yeah, you're doing great
Right,
in baseball.
right.
But that's a failure in life.
Right.
You succeed 1 out of 3 times. That means you failed 2
Right,
out of 3.
right,
You know,
right,
you have
right.
that. So that's what happened in there,
Right.
and then. Because that's one reason I went to Rutgers University, because I could play baseball in the spring,
right.
because they didn't have
Have
spring football.
right,
But
right,
if they had spring football, because I was being paid to
Right.
play football through the scholarship,
You'd
and
have
so
to,
forth,
yeah.
I'd have to focus on
football
football,
all
and
year
that's what
round.
happened. And everything.
Right.
I mean, you get very few athletes anywhere that play both baseball and football.
Right.
You get a few that play basketball because
Right.
that season doesn't coincide with other seasons and
Right,
everything
right,
there.
right.
But that's basically what happened. I mean, now in the service, I could get back to playing all the sports because you had football, then you had basketball,
Right.
then you had
Yeah,
baseball.
baseball, right.
But in college and everything, and the high schools are
Yeah,
doing it now.
yeah,
and
you're
everything,
right. You're right.
it's tough. You have
Uh-huh.
spring football practice.
Yeah.
I ain't never been to
Yeah.
spring football practice.
They still got the spring league going on.
Yeah,
at Park?
so you have a lot of young. It's funny because on Bree's baseball team, you have a bunch of young men who they show up late because they at spring football practice, and then their mama bring them from football practice. Then they got to try to play baseball, and it's
Right.
just it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
And especially when you get to high school and
Right.
college and so
Right,
forth,
right.
it gets
Yeah.
it's more than a lot. It's almost
Right.
impossible.
Impossible.
Right.
You know, the fourth sport athlete is almost. You know,
This is
it's-
not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I know just with our off-season workouts, I'll be Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'll be at basketball practice 9 to 11, and then 6 to 8 I'll be at football practice. You know what I'm saying? Summer leagues going on Mondays and Wednesday nights for basketball. 7-on-7 goes on Wednesday nights for football. So you know what I'm saying? It's
And then the other
all-
thing with baseball, you can be successful in baseball, but you still fail 2 out of 3 times.
Right,
And a
right.
lot of folks can't handle that failure.
Yeah. Right,
I mean,
right.
if you're successful 1 out of 3, you're doing great. You're
Right.
batting 300.
Right.
You're wonderful.
Right.
But you done messed up the other 2
Other two,
times.
right.
You know, so that's not, the instant gratification
Right.
in basketball and football is
It's
just
different.
greater.
Got you. I got you.
Because there's so many different things you can do in football. You can be an offensive lineman. You can be a
Right.
center.
Special
you can be
teams,
something.
right,
And you
right.
get some
Receivers,
you know,
yeah,
yeah,
right,
you know,
right,
you
right.
don't just have to score the touchdown.
Right,
Even
right.
though when I was playing, if it wasn't
That's what
scoring a
you wanna
touchdown, I wasn't playing. My goal out there was
to
to
score
score
a
a touchdown. But you will help the team score, you know, and things like that. You know, and basketball, you know, if you don't score, you're not scoring.
Right, right,
you know,
right,
But
right.
there's other things you do
You
in
can do
basketball.
basketball, too,
Yeah,
yeah.
basketball. But baseball was a tough sport.
Yeah, no, it is.
It's a
It
tough
is.
sport, you know.
Still is.
Say it still is.
Yeah, it still is. And I try to get these kids to, I try to explain that to them. Like, listen, you're going to fail more than you succeed in this sport, but you got to have short memory. Like, if I strike out, now I can't go in the field to play defense thinking about it, because you know what? The ball's going to find you.
Right.
You're going to make an
The
error.
ball will find
You know what I'm saying? You're going to make an error. You know what I mean? So if you make an error in the field, you gotta let it
cost
go
right.
now, because now if you're thinking about that error I made at the plate, you're not going to be able to have a successful at bat.
Outfield, and then when you go back up the bat, then it's going to be thinking
all,
about his
yeah. It's got to have short memory in this game. Very short
Okay,
memory
you
in
will
this game.
strike out in
Yeah,
baseball.
you will strike
and
out. You will
an
make
error.
errors.
Now, one of the things that I'm very, very proud of when I think about myself and playing sports, I mean, in the 4 years that I played baseball at Rutgers, and I'm talking when I really played, I never made an error, because I might have told this story before, because when I really realized what I could do, I became a center fielder instantly. But I played all my life as a
infield,
teenager
right.
in the infield. So center field was easy
Right.
in one sense. And then I kind of cheated in center. I hate to
Right,
use that
right.
term on TV because somebody might try to do that. I kind of cheated in center field, because when the ball was hit on the ground and everything, I would run to it. And by the time I got the ball, I was very close.
Right, so
and
you-
I would throw people out. They thought I was throwing the ball from deep center field with this great arm. No, I was just every time you was running,
Right,
I was
running towards the ball,
I was
right.
running.
You was putting yourself in position.
Right, because I
right,
could
right.
feel so well,
Right,
and I had the
right,
biggest
right.
glove in the world
Right,
because
so
I
you
got
wasn't
little
missing
hands.
nothing, right,
You know,
right,
boom,
right.
and they was out. They said, "How they throw you out?" And something like that. There, yeah, I ain't talking about secret. Yeah, you know, what I mean, you know. And then
That's
with
what's up.
speed, use speed on the baseball field. It was always great.
Right.
We would steal, run extra base and stuff like
Right.
that. So it was the speed and the ability that I learned from the other sports
Gotcha.
that enabled me to do well in baseball.
Gotcha.
Because it was unheard of for African Americans to play baseball even at
Right,
college, even when I
right,
went.
right.
And you didn't have any playing with you either. Maybe
Nope.
one or two other
Yeah,
guys.
nah,
Okay.
it was the same
I
when I
would
came
say
through.
in the 4 years that I played baseball at Rutgers, just counting the 3 years I played varsity baseball, I never had another African American teammate. Not only that, I only played against maybe 2 African Americans
Right.
in the whole situation. They had an African American playing at Lafayette, and they had one playing at NYU.
Gotcha.
And everybody else, the 20-game season, there was no
Right.
African Americans playing baseball.
Right, yeah,
Now,
nah.
baseball and football, that was a different
Story. Right,
you know.
right.
And that's crazy for our student athletes that's listening to this. That was 1960.
Yeah.
So that really technically wasn't that long ago. You know what I mean?
And to that, like my dad just said, when you figure I graduated from Rutgers Camden in '94, and when playing baseball, I could count on my hand how many other
Right.
teams might have had somebody black. I ain't had nobody black on my team, but other teams we played, they might have one or two.
One or two, that's
yeah,
it.
But I ain't have, and that's '94 we talk about. You know what I'm saying? So. Yeah, we definitely got to get these. Y'all got to pick up the gloves and the balls and the bats, and let's get after it. Let's bring this thing back. You know what I'm saying?
I've
Let's
given
bring
up
this thing
because I don't think it's going to happen.
back. I got you. I can see that now, but like you said though, the the era or the time of the 4-year athlete is
Right,
just
that's
because
basically it, you know.
just everything is year long, like you said, like basketball, and then and people are making money off of that year long situation because you got AAU teams.
Yep.
Then football, you got spring leagues and 7-on-7s all summer, and that's all pay. You don't go to a 7-on-7 tournament for free. You got to pay the entry fee. You know what I'm saying? So people are making money.
It's
off this
difficult
stuff.
to do and might be impossible.
Yeah, definitely.
I gave the fight up.
I got you.
You know,
I got you.
because I used to try to really brag about the old Negro leagues. You know, I don't even do that anymore. I took you guys all around to play all over the South and stuff like that. There, you know, sometimes you just have to say, "Hey, what it is what it is."
Right.
You know what I mean?
I got you.
I mean, I still, when I look at a ball on TV and everything, I look at the last names and say, "Oh, he's Latino."
Right.
He might look
He
African
might
American.
look like us, but he's not. That's
But
what I'm
he's
saying.
You know what I'm saying?
He's not.
You know, and I root for them too. It's not that I don't like it, but you know.
definitely,
But when you see somebody that with a Anglo-Saxon name that looks African American, you say, "Oh, who's him?
Right.
Where'd he come from? I don't know him." That's good. What's the Phillies got? 1, 2?
Yeah,
I know they have
2,
one
I think.
pitcher.
Yeah, they got the pitcher.
and the other
And
guy
I
plays
think
pretty
they got
regular.
the,
Moves around second, short, outfield.
Yeah, it's like utility.
Yeah, you know.
utility type of player. He's
Yeah,
out
you know.
there. Yeah, but that's something. But Daddy, we thank you. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You know I love you. You know what I'm
All right, I
saying?
appreciate that.
And just like you said earlier that Papa, your dad, influenced you. You definitely influenced me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not. I'm not doing what I'm doing.
Let me get this right
Without-
before I mess up. Let me get this right. Yeah, you are my only son. let me get this right.
Wait a minute.
yeah.
We was about- I thought we was
I
about
got
some
two
breaking
daughters.
news.
I got 2 daughters, but you are my only son. Yeah, right. I said, let me get this right.
Oh, wait a minute. This was about to be the greatest episode
Ever.
you are my only son.
But yeah,
you
you definitely
had no choice.
Yeah, right.
You had no
Nah,
choice.
you definitely got me where I'm at, and I appreciate that from you. You know what I'm saying?
And also, I just
tell
like to
people
say
all the
here
time.
is that some of my very close friends love you like a son, and Demiri,
Yes,
Pat,
Coach Pat,
and Pettigrew.
Coach Pat,
I mean,
Coach Mary,
if I
Mr.
missed
John.
anybody, I apologize.
Right,
but I
those-
know
yeah.
those guys love you like a
yes,
son.
and I love them as well. You know what I'm saying? I love them as well. You know who you missed in there? Mr. Thomas.
yeah.
He calls me his son as well.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? That's my
So,
guy.
so,
Shouts out to Mr.
yeah,
Thomas. But
yeah,
yeah, Coach
yeah.
Pat,
Yeah.
Coach DeMary, Mr. Pettigrew, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
they
They mean a lot to me too. You know what I'm saying? You know, I just remember being a little thing out there with 70 pounds, Coach Pat coaching me. I was like, yo, this is a true life giant. Like I only seen these like in the cartoons or the comic books or TV or something. This guy is a real, I thought Coach Pat was like a real life giant. He was the only one, not the only one I saw, but he would hit the softball out of the Pink Elephant Park, which is a shot on a regular basis. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I remember all those days you let me run around out there when y'all played for the Apollo and all that type
Three
stuff.
ways
And 3 ways in and being little when they used to have the what they used to have at the Pink Elephant, the concert.
The concert.
yeah.
Yeah, you just let me
Festival,
just go.
we call them festival.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
festival.
festival.
Yeah, you just I'm little thing, just out there in the crowd, all these people. And,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I definitely appreciate Daddy and thank you. You know what I'm saying? You know, you definitely my mentor. There is no Coach Bird without the original Coach Bird. I tell
Folks
people
still
remember that
call me
story.
Coach Bird,
Yeah,
too.
well, you
Cause
call me
that's
Coach
who you
forever.
are.
That's who you are. You coach.
That's who
I
you
mean,
are.
you say Coach Bird.
I have students at school that I don't coach call me
Yeah,
Coach
Coach
Bird.
Bird.
Everybody, my coworkers. What's up, Coach? What's up, Coach? Yeah, that's what you are, Daddy. You're a
That's who
coach
you are.
to a lot of people, and a lot of people always when they find out you're my father, they're always like, "Oh, Coach Bird, I played for Coach Bird." Da, 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 da. You know what I'm saying?
And I would say
you leaving a legacy.
I said to my buddies or people work. I said I don't know who he was. He must not have been that good because I can't remember. He give me his name. I said you played.
You played?
I was your coach.
I was your
I
coach.
said, well, I'm not going to insult you, but I don't know what you was playing.
Well, listen, for those out there that he don't remember, don't worry. I'm a relative, and he always forgets who I am.
Well, you change your hairstyle.
Listen, he always forgets. And then he hits me with the, you look really familiar.
What you say? The hairstyle, you can't keep up.
Hairstyle.
Can't
We'll
keep up.
change the hairstyle.
Can't keep up. You know what I'm saying?
So
You
Can't
gotta
keep up.
listen.
remember, it was the number. I think of your mother and your aunt and them. That's what I think
Yeah.
when I think of the family. I don't think of you guys. You guys are second generation,
Right.
But it was a lot of them. And Ghost was your grandpa, father,
He was my grandmother's husband.
grandmother. Ghost.
You know,
okay.
he wasn't Gussie's. He wasn't Gussie's dad.
He wasn't Gussie's dad. Okay,
Right,
I got
right,
you. Yeah, Ghost.
right,
You know,
right.
so remember
Yeah.
Ghost. And Aunt Geraldine.
Right, so
remember.
declare the air. Now
Right.
y'all heard it
Right.
out his
Because
mouth.
people always
say
ask,
they
is,
think
are
we're
we
not
really
related.
related? Right, right. Because it's a Hall,
So
Byrd.
my
we
grandmother,
tell them all the time.
my grandmother was Fitzgeraldine Byrd, and his father were brothers and
Brothers
sisters.
and sisters. That's
So
that's
Big Coach
Aunt Geraldine.
Byrd, father, and my grandmother were brothers and
Yeah,
sisters.
Can't get much more related than that.
And not
much
only
more
not
related
only
than
that, your grandmother was the only girl in the family
Yes.
because it was Uncle Norris, who
Uncle
my
Ralph,
middle
yep.
name is Arnold
Right.
Norris and everything, and my dad,
It's Uncle Ralph,
and Aunt Geraldine.
Yep.
That was it.
So now you heard
Now
it
you
from
know.
the
You
man.
heard it. You- come
from the
on.
man.
And Aunt Nan was there.
Yeah,
She
Aunt
was
Nan raised my mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aunt Nan, people thought that she
was white
evil.
and white.
But she loved me. She was never evil to me. I mean,
I have
would
a
always-
picture. I have a picture where I'm about 2, and I'm standing next to her. I'm holding her. I'm 2 or 3, holding her knee, and she's like, holding me up. Yeah, I have a picture in the house. I have to make sure I get it this session. You can see it.
And Estelle and
Yep.
stuff like that.
I stayed with Estelle when I was in high school.
Wow. You know what I mean?
So-
I mean, they love my dad. They love my dad. My dad was more
and
like
they
a son to
they
him.
were their aunts. They were their aunts.
They were like a
So
son to
those
him.
were the ladies that raised my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And then to the tail end, when they were up in age, my mom used to send me over there. And Estelle, they lived in Williamstown, her and Uncle Juke.
Yeah, oh,
And they taught me how to make everything from
What was his
scratch,
last name?
cooking.
Duke? Was his
Green.
name?
Green.
He was the meanest man ever.
No, I like Uncle Juke.
He was mean. He was mean. But he got along with me. I said, well, he just got to be
Me
mean.
too. I stayed with them. Like I used to live with them.
He lived down in the country
Yup.
somewhere.
Yup,
I
in
go
the
down
woods. Yup.
there. I set you out. That's when I got my first little car.
Okay. He was a
mechanic.
Right. And he wouldn't teach me nothing.
He taught me everything.
He made me do everything myself.
Right. He
wouldn't
told me how
show
to build the carburetor. He told me, yup. I was like 12 or 13. They had started getting up in age, and they lived in Williamstown,
That's funny.
in back in the woods.
Back in the woods.
And my mom used to send me over there. She'd be like, go over there on Saturday.
Okay.
Like if I didn't have any
Right,
sports,
right.
go over there with Uncle Juke and Estelle, like help clean up,
Gotcha.
and
Gotcha.
because they were getting really, really old at
Gotcha.
this
I got
point.
you. I got you.
And then they moved back to Cali. Like when I was
He
like
used to
in
fly
11th grade.
airplane and all kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He would have me out there for 3-4 hours, maybe longer, and I had to work on the car by myself.
yourself.
She didn't have to collect their chicken's eggs. They used to make me. Remember they had the chicken coop.
they had
I used to have to
chicken
get the eggs and all that.
Yeah, they was fine.
That's when you used to be able to get your kids to help out the elders.
right,
You know what I
right.
mean?
Now
Going
they
over there
don't
with your
look-
great,
yeah, you know
my
what I'm saying?
great aunt to help them over there.
Help them out.
But they would
Help 'em
always,
out.
they would always, everybody would love me because I was my father's oldest boy.
Gotcha.
Because he was spoiled.
Right, right.
Everybody know Uncle Ralph.
Right.
And then, but I was the oldest boy.
Gotcha.
So they would spoil me,
too, right.
like they were spoiling him. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And then my mom got
Gotcha.
spoiled because she was my grandmom's oldest daughter.
Yeah.
But she was kind of like,
Yeah.
she was my grandma was young when she had her.
Okay,
So
okay.
all the aunts took care of my mom, which would
Gotcha.
be our great aunts.
Gotcha.
Mom Pete and Nan and Estelle and
Gotcha.
Bert, all of that.
Oh yeah. I mean, I could go.
that's
And
great.
Bert would babysit me. See, I could go.
You go
Her
have
and
that.
Uncle Hamilton. I could go there because my mom would work somewhere. My
Right.
dad would work there.
Right.
They lived on Cassuth Street.
Okay.
I could spend all
All day
afternoon
over
there and
there.
everything. And the guys would play little ball in the back,
Okay,
and I would
okay,
kill
out there with 'em.
I was killing them.
You killing 'em.
Hit the ball over the fence, little rubber ball and stuff. You know what I mean?
See, so the
That's what's up.
relationship is genuine.
Yes. Well, Daddy, thank you.
Thank you so much. This has been an honor, a privilege.
Thank you. You don't understand.
You don't, yeah.
Man, you don't understand. And 100th episode, and it's Father's Day weekend. So I
Yes,
don't
happy
give you a
Father's Day.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
little
Yeah.
Father's Day gift.
Oh,
there.
wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, Mom. She's the
Little
one that made
Thank you,
me.
Mommy. You know what I'm
made
saying?
me. So, now I'm looking at your hat.
Yeah, you know we need. You know we
Yeah.
keep the brand new Yankees.
Yeah, as I'm looking,
We
I
keep
was,
the brand
I was
new
looking at-
Yankees.
but yours got a nice color to it. Yours, we just got 2 colors. You got 3 colors. You know? I noticed
you
the
know, I
difference.
get- yeah.
He noticed
I
it
kept,
quick.
I kept the original for you.
Okay,
you know?
right.
This is the
Yeah.
spring, and look, got the little mesh. It still fit. fitted,
Yeah.
but they got the mesh in the back. This is what
Okay.
they wear during spring training.
You notice I noticed the difference.
Yeah,
So
I see.
it was
Yeah,
different. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah,
You know what
okay.
I'm saying?
Okay, nice.
That's I grew up knowing nothing but the Yankees hats. You know what I'm saying? The Yankee fitteds all day, every day.
That's because
So,
I used to love Joe DiMaggio.
I got you.
Jackie Robinson, Joe DiMaggio, Roy Campanella, Willie
There we go.
Mays.
All
That's
great.
who I grew up
All
loving.
great. All great. So once again, Daddy, thank you. You know what I'm saying? And going to get, since he knows, we're going to head on out to out there, go see what Orlando and them has planned for you. You know what I'm saying?
I was wondering why Landy didn't tell me that he was having an event today. So, you know what I mean? I'm
He
saying,
even called me and was like, "Make sure as soon as y'all done taping,
He called me
you
too.
bring him,
Yep.
you bring him out." I was like, "You gotta tell Seth, I'm not picking him up."
Because I see him all the time.
Right,
He's
right.
always downtown, across the
Exactly.
street and whatever and everything there.
That was my task today.
Yeah.
Make sure I get you
I
out
didn't
there
know
at 3
anything
o'clock.
about it.
You know what I'm saying? So, Tracy, thank you. You know what I'm saying? Thank you
Appreciate
for doing this with me. Means a lot. You know what I'm saying? Riding out with me. You know what I'm saying? Episode 100. I'm still like, wow. You know what I'm saying? Episode 100. Don't forget, you always got to shout him out, Bill, with the Bowling with a Purpose down there at Westbrook on Sundays. Starts at 10:30. Make sure y'all get out there. Also, Bill and Sabrina, the football camp. It's in Paulsboro, but it's next Saturday. Kevin Ross will be there. I think Isaac Redmond will be there. A couple other people. So get your kids out there, learn a couple skills. You know what I'm saying? Fundamentals and some skills and whatnot. And before I let you go,
Kevin is a good guy and he was a great player. Both.
Yeah, I like Kevin. Kevin speaks highly of you as well.
Yeah,
When you remember,
good
because I
guy
coached with
and-
him for a year at Camden
Right,
High
yeah,
football.
good guy and a great player.
Yeah, he speaks highly of you as well, and I definitely appreciate Kevin Ross as well. And Tracy, before I let you take it home, well, I'm gonna let you take it home first, and then we'll toast to the 100th episode.
Well, I don't have. Listen, I'm still in awe. We got Big Coach Bird here, and it's just to know that he watches and we're doing him proud is meaningful to me. To all our young African American people out there that graduated from high school and college this week, congratulations. We see you. We see you. We see you. We are very proud. Keep doing our communities proud and keep striving for higher education.
Definitely.
So this right here is to our 100th episode.
yes,
we didn't know we was gonna make it this far, right?
Nah, we didn't. I mean, and we've been improving.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? We've been improving.
First thing that your dad asked, who learned to, he thought it was me. And I told him I'm just a pretty face with a little bit of knowledge.
Well, he didn't get this from me. Okay, he got this on his own. I got to give him credit for it. So this is fantastic. Fantastic. I'm still with the old flip cell phone. That's as far as I got.
So to the 100th episode of the Birdcage.
I can't get my dad none. I don't want my mom to be mad at me.
I don't want
To 100.
To 100 episodes.
All
Thank
right,
you.
one-
Thank you.
Keep
Keep watching.
Okay.
Keep watching. Keep watching. Daddy, once again, thank you. The lovely cousin Tracy. Once again, I am Sechuayo, a.k.a. Coach Bird, and I'm the host of the BYRDCAGE Show, and we'll talk to you soon.
That's amazing.
It was a stone groove, my man.